Hi, it's Lauren. Welcome back to my craft room. It's the 25th of the month, so I have some Christmas inspiration and I'm using Kindred Stamps Magical Season kit. Now, this was limited edition, and as you can see, this is the first time I'm using it. I still have the little lollipop in there, and it comes with so many cute, magical, as you can see from that postcard, inspired products for the Christmas season. So there are two stamp sets, a stencil, some enamel dots, an add-on die to an already existing castle die, some shaker bits, washi tape, and a really adorable paper pad. And I'm going to use quite a lot of these products on these cards. Now these cards are kind of wild and crazy and full of lots of cute things, but I think they turned out really fun. So I went ahead and stamped a bunch of characters from the two stamp sets. I stamped them in my Sassy Club Onyx Black ink and colored them in with my Oh Hoo Hoo art markers. I used my Scan and Cut to cut out all of my little images, and I also used my shimmer pens from a Pear Blossom Press. I've die cut the castle and the Christmas castle add-on out of some different color cardstocks because I want my castle to look like the magical one here in Southern California. So I'm going to use some Distress inks to add on a brick design. This is a stencil by Honeybee, and it's this really tiny brick stencil, and I thought it was perfect for this castle die. So I'm using peacock feathers on some teal cardstock. I'm using Kitsch Flamingo on some pink cardstock and Hickory Smoke on some gray cardstock. So once all those pieces are stenciled, I'm also going to add a little bit of pine needles to my green die cuts as well, which are these cute little mouse shaped wreaths, and also like my banner style looking wreath die cut. So just adding a little bit of color. I'm not going to keep the insides of this die cut. It just easily stayed inside as I die cut everything with my magic mat. So once I'm done adding some ink, I'm just popping them out, those three little holes. And then here you can see kind of the garland banner of the second kind of piney part of my castle add-on. So now that all of them are ready to go, I'm going to walk you through how I glued together one of these castles. So even if you don't have the Christmassy add-on to the castle, like I said, you could still get the castle from Kindred Stamps. I will have it in my supply list. So this could be helpful if you don't know how to put the castle together. So I'm adding the tops of my castle, which are the teal, onto the pink parts, and then I'm adding my snow, which I die cut from a white glittery cardstock, and I'll do that for all three of the pink towers. Next, I'm going to glue my gray towers to the center part of my castle where one could walk through or the drawbridge. So I'm gluing the left side, and I'm using my grid on my mat here a lot to help me with placement of everything. The only thing I didn't think about was how wide this was and if it would fit on my A2 card, but luckily it fits perfectly. So do take that into consideration as well if you're wanting it to have a thinner profile. You may want to glue these two side gray pieces much more towards the center. And once those are finally even for my type A brain and they look nice, I'm going to glue on the addition of the pink. So this is now like the second layer of the castle. So I'm just adding a little bit of glue and then again doing my best to center that pink piece in between the two gray towers. This is when I realize I need to glue on the little extra pieces of gray. So I'm adding this longer, I don't know what this is called, the edges of the tower pieces, where the archers stand and shoot arrows. If I were to assume if I had a castle, that's where they would be standing. So there I added those green piece or gray pieces, and now I'm gonna figure out how I want my pink towers to look. I did look at pictures of this magical castle in real life to do my best guess on how to glue all these together. But just have fun with it, make it a completely, your own castle. So the other two, I didn't want anything to show through the window, so I just trimmed off anything that would show through the gray window, and I'm gluing the pink tower so that way it won't show through any of the windows. So it's glued as far up as I possibly can and to the left as much as I possibly can. And then the exact same thing just mirrored for the other side. And I'm using wet glue to glue my castle together because it gives me some wiggle room to make sure I have it placed exactly where I want it before it adheres and dries. Now let's add in our wreath stuff to make it even more Christmassy. I'm going to add the garland first, and I'm going to have the center be right above the opening of the castle. So like right there. And luckily, like I said, I didn't do a very good job at checking the width. It all fits. The garland connects on the two sides of the towers. And now I'm adding two little red bows to the smaller points of the garland where it kind of goes up. And then I'm adding my mouse shaped wreath in the center. So the bottom of that wreath lines up with the center part of the garland. And then adding in the big bow. So that is how I assembled all of my castles. I think they turned out so cute. Um, I should have made more because now I love them and don't want to go through all that work again, but that's okay. So now I'm going to jump over to how I made my backgrounds. I'm only going to show basically one card step for everything in this video, but I did make 8 cards in total and with all different kinds of colors. So for this one, I'm going to do my boy duck. And for this, I used 3 different distress oxides. I have Tumbled Glass, Salty Ocean, and Uncharted Mariner. And I'm just going to blend all 3 together, starting with the lightest in the middle. So I'm going to put down a circle of my Tumbled Glass. I'm going to go around that with Salty Ocean, but I will bring back my Tumbled Glass and add more color to blend those two together. And then finally, I will add Uncharted Mariner around the edges, just like I did with Salty Ocean. As you can see, I'm not being like super perfect about it because a lot of this is going to be covered by my stenciling, but I wanted it to have just a nice blend, and that way it didn't look like, 3 different colors. It looked more like a fade in and out from light in the middle to dark along the edges. I'm going to use the Card Basics dies from Kindred Stamps, and there is this A2. It's not A2, it's a little bit smaller than A2, but within that same ratio. So I'm using it to help me make sure that I have enough ink so I can use that die to die cut it out on or with my Big Shot switch. And when I run it through my machine, I use a little bit of mint tape because I want to make sure that my die stays in place. I do have a magnetic plate for my Big Shot that I had from an older Big Shot, but I did add a piece of paper as well because I have gotten ink on my clear plates and then cut out something else, and then that ink transferred, and I was very sad. So I do keep a thin piece of copy paper just with my die cutting stuff for really inky things. So now we're going to move on to stenciling. This is the first time that I've used my iCraft Deco Foil Transfer Gel Duo because at the time I wasn't sure what kind of foil I wanted to use, if it was going to be heat reactive or pressure. So I figured I'll just use my Duo because then no matter what I do, it will work. And I'm stenciling on this duo through this cute little mouse head stencil. This is a layering stencil. So I'm just doing the mouse heads with this duo paste. Essentially, when it dries, it's a little bit tacky, so you can use your die cut machine to add pressure and add foil, or you can run it through your laminator or mink machine to add the heat transfer foil as well. It's pretty cool stuff. So here is what it looks like with the paste on it, and as you can see, it's white, and you'll know when it's dry when it's all clear and it's slightly tacky. So not super sticky where you can still see your fingerprints when you lift up your finger, but just slightly tacky. So here I have another background. This one is green for my small little yellow dog, and I will admit This one wasn't totally dry, but that's okay. You'll see what happens when it's not completely dry, and it's not the end of the world. I did not make another one, because it's fine. It's handmade. And I have this super shiny foil. I have zero idea where I got it from. It has like little cute circles and it's silver, but yet iridescent. So I did put a similar deco foil, kind of like silver rainbowy shine, in my supply list. It's really close. So if you are loving this foil like I am, you can find something kind of close with deco foil. Okay, so now that this background is not as dry as it should be, wait till it's dry. Like, I did this one and then the rest of my backgrounds, I came back the next day because, as you'll see here, after I run it through my die cut machine, which again I put in between a folded in half sheet of copy paper so I don't have to worry about anything sticking to my plates. You can see that some of my little mouse heads kind of squished because the paste wasn't fully dry. Um, it's okay. I'm not too sad. Most of my little mouse heads look great, so it's fine. I'm happy with it. But I will do the rest of my foiling the next day. Like, I let all of my backgrounds dry overnight. So now that my foiling is done, I'm going to do my second stencil, which all of these cute little mouse heads you can leave to be its own stencil, or you can turn them into lights. So the second stencil is like the light fixture and the cord. And since this one is going to be, this background is for my little yellow dog, I went ahead and grabbed red because this little dog will wear a green collar or a red collar sometimes. So I wanted to do those two colors to represent this cute little critter. Here you can see with both stenciling how fun and bright and whimsical this background is. So here is another one I did for my girl duck, and as you can see, the shiny ears or heads look really great because I waited until it was completely dry to foil. So I'm going to show you how I assembled one of my cards. So I have this really cute paper that I die cut with an A2 die. It's a nesting set of rectangles, so I also used a smaller die to cut out the inside because I didn't want to waste this paper. I'm such a paper hoarder, and it's exclusive. There's no more. So if I can save the paper, I will. So that's why there's a big old rectangle missing from this background paper. I'm using more adhesive to glue down my stenciled background. And as you can see, I use pinks and purples to match my little girl duck. Next, I'm going to layer on my castle. And I would say I normally would have done more dimension on my castle, but there's already so much going on on this card. Um, I'm just going to glue it straight down. So it's going to be glued down to my background, and I'm going to move it as close to the top as I can because when I adhere my critter down to the bottom, I don't want to cover up all of that hard work I did on my castle. I'm adding some foam adhesive to the back of my character, and I used thermoweb roll so I could cut the different sizes I needed, pulled off the release paper, and then added my character to the bottom center of the card. I also used a lot of the sentiments from the stamp sets to add in sentiments on the inside of the card. So here I am now the next day. Here you can see my girl duck and her pink and purple card. I have my little yellow dog with the green and red background, and you can kind of see the weird did it again, mouse head, but it's not too noticeable. I have my tall dog with the orange and green background, my boy duck, which I think this is my favorite out of all of them, with blue and red. I have my girl mouse with the red and green. I have my boy mouse also with red and green. And then I also have some cute characters from this Magical Places Christmas parade. So we have our band and our little reindeer. And then I also am going to put a little silver enamel dot in the center of all the big bows, only on the cards where you can see the big bow because I'm not going to waste my enamel dots if you can't see it. And here is what all 8 cards look like all together. Like I said, they're really busy and really fun, but I think they turned out really cute. And here is the inside of all those cards so you can see the inside sentiments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!